Greetings, fellow Planeswalkers.
I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you're listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. This week on the podcast, we're talking about leaks and why they are so hurtful to the community at large. Then, we'll be transitioning into something we think is very helpful for being part of the community, expression of opinion. But before all that, we have our upkeep trigger to do. We want to thank all of our patrons. You guys help keep the lights on here in the studios, as usual. We help us get all the content out to your eyes and your ears. If you want to help support the show directly, you can do it at patreon.com/commanderatarms. After that, we have mail day and interesting finds. Paul, have you found or bought anything spicy, deliciously sriracha flavored this week?
No, not that I can think of right now. I did, however, open one of my drawers on my desk, and I found a pile of foils that are all, or like 90% of them are curled, so that was pretty cool. Gonna have to set those down under a very heavy book at some point.
Yeah, I noticed, like when I did mine, a pot of boiling water and then a Pringles can with a sleeve on it taped backwards, like taped on it, and then the card slid in backwards kind of works, and you leave it there for a couple of hours, maybe if not a day. It kind of helps. It's probably not the best thing to do to maybe like foil $50 cards or so, but maybe some of the commons.
I'm not too worried about it. I'll just play them anyway, and I'll get DQ'd for marking my cards.
Yeah, seems like a good play. So I have an interesting find. I've actually had a couple of interesting finds this week. I went through this old box that I have sitting here in my recording studio that has just a whole mash of like Return to Ravnica stuff and New Phyrexia and Mirrodin and all that. And I found 3 notable cards for right now. Two of them being cards that I play in actual decks. So one of them was Mizium Skin, which I play in the Yarrick, the Desecrated deck, which we have a deck tech on. Go check that out. And the other one was Fengryn Marauder for Old Gnawbone. Also have a deck tech for that one, so go check that one out. Really cool cards to just find in the wild. And then as I was sorting through the last couple of cards in the whole box, and it's not a very big box, I found everyone's favorite Dragonlord Dromoka. That's the 6 mana, Selesnya, 6/6 flying with, I think, haste or trample. Can't be countered, and your opponents can't cast spells during during your turn or something. Thing's a powerhouse, and I found that and was very, very excited. And then as for buying cards, I bought 3 brand new cards this week, Paul, and 2 out of the 3 have came and shown up, and I showed you before we started recording. The first one was Peregrine Drake from the old Urza's Saga, and then I got a crop rotation from Urza's
I think that one is Legacy.
Urza's Legacy, yeah, it is. And then the last one that hasn't shown up that I didn't tell you about because I wanted to get your reaction on here was it was Magic 20, so Core 2012. Wow, that was a sentence. Core 12 Runescar Demon foil.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I got the foil because I was like, dang, it's only an extra couple bucks. I'm going to get the foil version because it is a powerhouse in my Yarrick the Desecrated deck. So please go check out that deck tech. It is a lot of fun. I love playing that deck. It is my go-to casual, like Tulane-esque adjacent deck. So all of the upgrades I've done to Tulane, I guess like what I upgraded from has gone into Yarrick if it's the right colors, but yeah, definitely a lot of fun to play. Go and check that one out. Actually, talking about checking out some YouTube content, we have just brand new did a new video for Mariner. It was a fan submitted deck for our friend Jared. We've mentioned him here on the podcast a couple of times. We get to play Magic with him almost every day. I hang out with him while he's at work because he works from home. But yeah, awesome dude. Awesome person to play Magic with. So we built this mono black rat deck. Go and check that video out. It is our newest deck tech on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/commanderatarms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and also hit that bell for the notification so you don't miss an upload from us, which is going to be almost 3 times a week now. Definitely start to pump some more content into everybody's eyes and ears or ears, because it's both. You look and listen at the same time, unless you're me. And then you just do and then you just do one at a time. You either listen real good and you can't talk well, or you're talking really, really sophisticated. Wow, I even ruined my own joke.
You know, it's actually funny that you messed that up because I was gonna point out for anybody that might not have caught it, the commander is Maronar.
Yes, what said Maronar?
Maronar. Well, the way with your accent, it sounds like Marinar.
Yeah.
Like almost like marinara sauce.
Yeah, I know, right? I kept saying to myself, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just saying marinara sauce. So like, the deck is spaghetti. We cannot spaghetti about it. All right. Yeah. Maronar. I guess if you really wanted to be politically correct with the pronunciation of the nar would be, yeah. Anyway, we're not getting into pronunciation guides here. But yeah, go check that out. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I got to brew it with my friends, and we got to bring it up to like this super high, like on the border of CEDH and how high this deck could really go. We pushed it to its absolute limits. Go and check it out. It's an awesome video. And then we have our play.
Goku meme here.
What was that?
Insert Goku meme here.
Yeah, definitely.
This is what it means to go even further beyond.
It's over 9,000. Yeah, go check that one out. I'll definitely put a Goku meme in there somewhere. But after all that, our last part of the play of the week, you guys know it, we know it. It's the play of the week. This is going to become a changed section as of next week because it's going to be a stream highlight section because it's going to be most likely a play that came from the stream that we have, which is starting next week. So this is out on Thursday. So if you're listening to this, if you listen to the next episode, you've already missed the stream, but you'll be able to catch the next one after that. 2nd of February 2022 at 8:30 EST is our very first Commander live Paper Magic stream. Come and check it out. Twitch.tv/commanderatarms. We're going to have Corey from the Commander crew and Jason from the Commander Hub playing with us. We're going to be playing like the most spiciest decks that we own. So come check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I just can't wait. I'm so pumped and I'm so excited to be able to stream.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Me and James realized that like this was always something we wanted to do, but after we did the charity stream, we're like, wow, that was really cool to, you know, have our thing on screen, and then we can like talk to people while we do it. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was so much fun hosting. I got to like talk to things in real time and have like people like actually interact back with us, and also getting like all the donations and get to read those out, which I mean, we're not, you know, kind of like, you know, saying come and donate or give us money, but like, you know, just come and hang out in the chat and you get to interact with us and interacting live as we play. You can point out my misplays as they're happening because they're gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to have like more guests too. I expect that Corey will be a repeat customer a bunch of times because Lord knows that well, maybe not so much me, but I know James has popped up on there a bunch.
I've been like furniture over there. He's just like, and we got guests. I'm like, at this point, I'm just like crew adjacent. Just like his arms adjacent, I guess. But yeah, this is still our play to win. This is still our play of the week section. So Paul, you said that you had a very spicy play this week.
Yes, I had a crazy game. I was playing with my my normal play group over the weekend on Sunday. And I was playing Seton. We were all playing Tribal. I was playing Seton Druids. The other players were playing Vampires with Edgar Markov. Rogues with the new blue-black one from Zendikar Rising.
Anawan?
Yes. And, what was the last? Dragons with Tiamat. That was the last one. It was it was a pretty crazy game the whole way through. I did the Seton things. I had a board, it got blowed up. I made another board, that got blowed up. I made another board, that got blowed up. And at some point, after grinding everything out, I resolved the Genesis Wave for 36 cards, which was the rest of my library at that time. I had like 18 mana floating, whatever. I had my whole deck on the field. I was set up to kill everybody with the Triumph of the Hordes and a Crater Hoof Behemoth with exactly 3 creatures to attack. And they were all huge because I had a coat of arms out too. The Vampires player, in response, goes Teferi's Protection. And he was just going to pass turn and let me draw out because he couldn't do anything else. So I had to scour for a way to stop myself from losing the game to deck out. And what's funny is that earlier in the game, I played Recycle, right? And the Vampires player Chaos Warped it into my deck. And I think they were making fun of it. They were like, oh, like your max hand size is 2. Like you don't even, you draw cards only when you play cards. And sure enough, that card being in my deck actually saved me the game because it entered the battlefield off of Genesis Wave. And that card says, I skip my draw step. So I actually did not lose to deck out because I skipped my draw step. And as long as I don't play a card, I don't draw cards. He didn't have a way to deal with the Recycle, and so I won the game because I had to skip my draw step. It was crazy. I have never won a game in such a close way like that. It was absolutely insane.
That's clutch. I love that. That is so good.
It was crazy. Whew.
Oh man, that is so good. I've never even heard of Recycle besides recycling.
It's not a card you see very often because the whole max hand size 2 thing. People really like to keep their cards. But with Druids, you play a mana dork, draw a card, tap that mana dork for another mana dork, draw a card, and you just keep going from there. And then it can do some pretty ridiculous stuff. It also counts off of you playing lands. So if you keep a couple lands in hand off Recycle, you can play a land to draw a card. Pretty crazy stuff. Really good card. Not a lot of decks probably do want it, admittedly, but it is an all-star in Setting.
Yeah, I love that. You need to play Setting on the stream a couple times so I can play against it because I want to see what these decks can do and I want to see them being piloted to their 100% because I know you can do some spice, Paul. And I can't wait to be able to showcase that because all of our stream VODs and everything will go up on the YouTube channel. Like you see everyone else do, we're going to do the same thing and we're going to be pumping that out to everyone. But talking about pumping it out to everybody, we are going to go to our main phase 1 here and start talking about some stuff that I feel like kind of negatively impacts the community, or at least I feel like it negatively impacts the community. And that's when we get a new set be announced, like right now, as of recording, I believe it's the 26th, as I can see on my computer that is like in the other side of the room. It's the 26th, and we're going to get previews for the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty come out in 2 days. But I feel that we have been inundated with leaks more often than any other set in the last 18 months. I know I'm a part of a decent amount of Discord servers, and I do get a lot of push notifications that come up that says like, hey, like this person's talking about this, or this is about this, or have you seen these cards, or look at what this is doing. And like I feel like it's kind of cool to see the cards, and I say that in the most loosest term possible, to kind of see the cards and kind of the direction that the set's going in before we actually see the preview cards that officially be previewed. And I know on this show, we used to do like the teaser talks that Mark Rosewater would bring out. And we kind of stopped doing that and phasing away from it because, I mean, by the time that we kind of got those statements, we already had a couple of cards leaked through Reddit and other sources that would kind of spoil some of those teasers and kind of take away the mystery and all that other fun stuff of like getting to theory craft what those sentences and what those I guess they're kind of like teasers would be. And by the time that we kind of release the episode, no one's really interested in watching it or listening to it because of the fact that, you know, they've already seen the card, that it's actually like the actual card that's been printed and not like this theorycraft version that Paul and I kind of came up off the top of our domes, you know, and that's kind of where I feel about leaks. I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Paul.
Yeah, it actually, I didn't even think about that. It must suck for Mark Rosewater too, but honestly, me and James, like, I don't know about James, but I thoroughly enjoyed doing those episodes. I thought it was really fun to read all the hints and think about like, oh, what could this card be? What could this be implying? And, you know, granted, me and James maybe have like a 10% accuracy rate, but those ones that we did get right, like I think we called the Kodama and Commander Legends.
Yeah, we did.
What else was there? I was very close on the Dungeons and Dragons set, how they formatted the cards. I was surprisingly close, actually. I don't even remember the card that I made. I think it was like Hunt or Harvest or something like that, like Forage or Hunt. I don't remember. but that one was pretty cool to see. And we don't really get to do that anymore because, like James said, leaks just, we even had leaks happen before Mara even gave teaser talks. And then the teaser talks came out, and like pretty much everything that was on there has been leaked already, which is really unfortunate because some of them would have been really cool to see revealed over time. And it's just I don't understand the incentive that people have for doing that.
I get it. I don't understand why either. Like I get it in the ways of like, hey, let's be the first person to talk about this card, or be the first person to like, hey, look at this like really off-center potato photo that I took of this card, or this card was a playtest card that kind of, made it through or something. Like, yeah, okay, like that's cool and all, but at some point, like, I feel they just negatively impact the community as a whole due to the fact that, I mean, we were in a preview state for so long for the last 18 months, and now all of a sudden we get a bit of downtime, Paul, where you and I get to kind of branch off into doing other episodes that we didn't think we'd be able to do anytime soon because of always having to talk about the brand new set and kind of hyping that up and letting everybody know like what's coming out in the next set or the next two sets and yada yada yada. Like we got to do last week's episode about like mechanics and treasures and all that. And it's kind of been like, all right, cool. Like now we get to get back into the swing of things of talking about Neon Dynasty. And it's like, I was going to try and wait for previews to come out to do this episode and do like a Neon Dynasty episode. But I think this is a good time to talk about like the leaks that came out before Neon Dynasty. And it just takes away from like, imagine like you being a content creator, and I know not everyone is a content creator, but you get to show off this really cool, shiny new thing that you made. And then 2-3 hours before you get to show that off, somebody's already put it out there, and all the hype and all the exposure and all of the excitement just kind of goes away a little bit, and it's not as exciting anymore because everybody's already seen it and they didn't get to see it from the person who it was given to. And that's in the forms of like preview cards and everything. I know Paul and I have been talking about like, if we ever got a preview card, how would we do it kind of thing. And we kind of always have those background discussions with ourselves about like what happens in the future if we get X, Y, and Z. And one thing would be really cool would be get a preview card. But then my fear is if we get a preview card, what happens if that card gets leaked? Like, what do we do about it? We can't really go to Wizards and be like, oh, hey, like this card's been leaked. Can you give us another one? Because they're kind of like, well, no, that's not how this works. I actually have no idea how it really works, but I'm taking a guess that that's kind of how it works. So, because I know they plan them all out ahead, and I did check who gets what this time, and there's a list of amazing content creators who get to kind of like show off some of these cards, and I'm going to be watching and looking at every single one of those previews as they kind of come out and all their content for them, because I would want the same for us. But I mean, we've seen, I think, at least 5 times more leaks for Kamigawa than I had for any other sets. I think going into Zendikar Rising, I only saw 1 or 2, and one of those was an accident from Wizards themselves. They slipped in a land card. I think it was Crawling Barrens from Zendikar Rising into a Modern Horizon pack or something along those lines kind of pack, and everyone Reddit went up in arms about it and kind of like, oh my god, look, it's another Manland. We're going to get Manlands again in Zendikar Rising. And then it would seem to be true. And I was like, okay, cool, no worries. But yeah, that's kind of just where I sit on it. I don't want content creators who do get preview cards to kind of feel bad about like getting that and having it leaked, because I wouldn't want that to happen to us.
Not to mention that like, I know at least some content creators, with the quality of the content they put out for these cards, it takes quite a lot of effort. Like probably from the time they actually are informed they have the preview card to the time they actually preview it is how long they're working on that video. And when the card gets leaked, it really hurts viewership, even if unintentional. Like so, flat out, just to be completely transparent, some people just don't want to watch a video about a card that they already know exists. People that aren't loyal to the viewer, they're loyal to the game, are going to say, hey, I already saw this card, so there's no point in watching this video. I know what the card does. See you later, alligator. And for people that depend as a content creator on that income stream, that is a big deal. You're actually like inadvertently costing people money by leaking these cards. And I think that is honestly the worst part of it. I don't know. It all sucks. There really is no worst part of it because it all sucks pretty equally. But I don't know what we can do as content creators other than not talk about them to de-incentivize it.
I know on at least our Discord server, I don't like to put leaks. Like we have a magic spoiler kind of page, and I guess that's kind of misrepresenting what that, well, not page, but like it's like a channel. And I guess that's kind of misrepresenting what that channel is meant for. It's meant for previews, not exactly leaks or spoilers. So whenever I do see leaks kind of come through, I assess them at face value. I kind of see them. I'm like, all right, cool. I take them down when I do see them, because I don't want them to be discussed, at least our Discord server, because I don't want that to be, I'm trying to cultivate like that kind of mindset of maybe not like not like talking about leaks and wait till they're previewed and then like talk about the preview cards. Because I mean, not only have we gotten like cards previewed, but like the full, not commander decks, but at least like the front artwork for the commander decks for this set have also been leaked as well. So we know what they are and what they do, and not talking about them. I did see it, but I didn't read the card. So it's kind of like, I don't know exactly what they do. And I'm kind of okay with that because I want to wait until they are previewed by whoever is previewing that product, because that's when I'll start talking about it and that's when I get excited about it. But again, that's just my personal opinion that I want to voice to everyone listening to this episode. And I don't know if I don't know if I speak for Paul here, which I'm not going to, but I know I would feel kind of shitty if it happened to us at the Commander at Arms team, because I know how much we put into our episodes and we do what we can with the equipment that we have. And yeah, I mean, you end up hurting the community as a whole by doing it. So kind of take that at face value, kind of take it how you feel, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I work 2 jobs. I work Monday through Saturday. Me and James basically only get 1 or 2 days a week to really like talk about, you know, what we do for episodes. So the time that we do have, it's put into the podcast, right? It would feel really cruddy to me in particular, and I'm sure James as well, but to me in particular, considering how little time I actually have to do this, if we finally got a preview card after 1.5 years, 2 years of recording and putting content out, if the card just got leaked, and I don't even care if it was like a common or something, it would still be like soul crushing.
Oh man, if we got a common for our preview card, just to kind of like end this first half on a high note here, if we got a common as our preview card, I would be hyping it so hard. I'd be like, You must play this in every single deck. Every single deck wants this card. This card is a staple in X, Y, Z deck. Like, you want to be playing this till the end of time. This card is bonkers. This is like Paradox Engine level good.
I've said this several times. If we got like a basic mountain as our preview card, that would be the most played mountain of all time. I would make sure of it.
I would only get that art for all of my mountains from now, from like when we got it to eternity. And I'm manifesting
get those and sign them.
I'm manifesting this so hard, Paul, that I want Wizards to hear us when we say just give us a basic land art to talk about for 30 minutes. We'll find 30 minutes to talk about a basic land. And even if it's just a forest or an island or a plains or a swamp or a mountain, we will hype it up so hard, because that's going to be the coolest card out of the whole set for us.
No, seriously. If we get a basic mountain, this will turn into a Bob Ross episode, and we will analyze the art intensely.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I will go and study fine arts and history and painting skills and brushstroke techniques, and we will dissect the shit out of that card. All right, I think this is a good time to kind of lead off here and maybe go into about combat phase, Paul, where I'm gonna, I guess, kind of maybe swing out at you with something. No, I'm going to swing out, and then I'm going to tap my basic mountain to cast an expedite to give something haste and draw a card.
Okay.
All right, cool.
I'll tap 4 mana dorks in response and play Yeva, Nature's Herald.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic. And with that, we're going to go hear a message from our sponsors right now. Welcome back from that ad break. We're going to get into our main phase 2 here, where, Paul, you actually brought this topic up to me Main phase 1 was the topic that I brought to the table, and this was the one that you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to let you kind of introduce this to our listeners and viewers.
Yeah, you know what they say, silence is a thinker's best friend. That's not actually something that people say. I just made that up. But when I was waiting for James to come into the chat room so we could start talking, I was thinking about things in Magic that are like kind of obvious, but people don't really like talk about it. And I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. But I find that in Magic, most people have trouble expressing their opinions in like a very healthy and engaging way. And like I said, it's something that I don't really see talked about. Now, when I say talked about, I don't really mean like when somebody gives their opinion in a really brash way and everybody just like dog piles and they're like, you're a jerk. Well, I don't know why you're talking like this. That's not what I mean. I mean like discussing it. Like, why are people that way? Why do Magic players often become so aggressive when sharing their opinions? Like, I was actually talking with James before we started recording. There was an episode, I guess not really an episode because it's not a series, but there was a video we did with Corey from the Commander crew. It was, I was playing Seton, and somebody in the comments was like, the Seton player like doesn't really know what they're doing. What is the name of that card that I was playing? I can't remember.
Gaia's Herald?
No, it's the one that lets me put another mountain into play. Or no, sorry, another forest, but only if it's a basic forest.
Gaia's Blessing?
It's from the dark. No, not Gaia's Blessing.
It's Gaia's something.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. Everybody knows what card I'm talking about, or if not, you can just look it up. It's from the dark.
I'll put it up on.
They were like,
I'm like, I'll put it up on Twitter, or I'll put it somewhere, or I'll add an editor's note to say like what the card is.
But I was like, sorry, they were like, oh, and that card, like, it's an activated ability. You don't get to play another forest, so it doesn't like trigger things that have you play lands, which I played none of in that game, by the way. Nothing that mattered with that. It's just, it's kind of it kind of makes me not want to watch when somebody clearly doesn't know what they're doing with the deck. Mind you, in the video, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I was extremely tired and not feeling well.
Yeah, but I mean, your feelings doesn't matter when it comes to Magic. You've got to play optimally at every single turn point. Like, you have to do perfect plays from turn 1 to turn whenever you win. Everything must be played perfectly, because we are now professional grinders of EDH content and EDH gameplay. Like we're now like top 8 modern Commander players.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, though, right? I don't understand why it has to come to that. And for that reason, I want to discuss, not mention, I actually want to discuss how we as players can be better with our language to facilitate a more welcoming and diverse environment. Because the first thing that people do when they walk into a store is they see you. The next thing that they do is they hear you, right? And your language is important during a game. And it's even more important on YouTube or Twitter, where the only thing we have to work with are words.
Yeah.
There's no personality involved. So when you talk to not even just a content creator, when you talk to anybody, if somebody posts something about Magic, unless it's very clearly something that should not be said, which I don't need to give examples of that. Use your imagination. I don't want to express opinions as your shit, your take is shit, and you should feel like shit. I like to talk with people and, try to understand why they said what they said. Not all people are going to be as receptive of this as others, but I think it's important as a community that, we have that conversation. And I think Rule 0 is a form of this, but I think it actually needs to go a step further than that. I've seen a lot of content creators mention negative comments, and look, I'm right there with you. I know that when you get negative comments, you say it's fine, but I know deep down it hurts and it sucks, and we should be trying our best to raise each other up, because we're all great at what we do. We all work hard at what we do, and we should, just communicate better.
Yeah, but that just kind of goes past like all the content creators out. It goes to everybody. I mean, we should be trying to level up everybody's vocabulary and language skills, and just the way that we kind of treat each other. I think the impersonality of Spell Table and playing in your own home, not having to abide by the social contracts of being out in the wild kind of thing, kind of takes away some of that that connotation of, okay, I have to be polite to everybody I meet on the internet because, I mean, we are just behind a keyboard. And that's a quote unquote, like, where the term keyboard warrior came from, because, you know, you can be all tough and stuff behind the keyboard, but you get them in person and they're a lot different because their attitude changes. The social contract of being outside comes into play. I know that sometimes I have come across a little bit brash and harsh in the ways that I describe things. Yes, I am also human, and as Paul is, we're both human. We do tend to get, you know, tired and exhausted, and sometimes on like streams when it goes kind of late, I'm like, yep, cool, no worries, let's move on. Like, I don't mean to be like negative or anything, but it does get kind of like, all right, cool, yeah, I know what you're going kind of thing going on from there. I actually had something similar like this happen in a game that I played on a public Discord server. They are known as like it's like an LGS feel. Like everybody's invited. You kind of just play like you're an LGS kind of thing. Like that's the community and the environment that they'll want to cultivate. And someone was like, well, I wasn't ready to play against that kind of deck, and that's not what I was intending. And it was like, okay, look, like, I apologize. I'm sorry if. And I'm sorry if what happened in the game or what is happening in the game isn't what you're intending for your game. I very clearly had Rule Zero talks with you. I said to everybody that, yes, I do run combo in this deck. I do have a combo finish. If I get to it, I get to it. Do I tutor for it? Not really. Do I have Runescar Demon in the deck as my only tutor? Yes, I do. Can I abuse it? A little bit. Am I going to? Most likely not. And that's what happened. And he got visibly and emotionally salty with me over that fact. And I just had to re-communicate with him in the nicest way possible that I was apologizing for what my perceived notion was for my deck. I didn't want to feel like I was harping on him, but he was playing shrines, enchantments, and he had, like, by turn 3, he had 4 enchantments, 4 of them on the field with the Sanctum of All, and was in a pretty good commanding lead. He had Linvala. He had 2 copies of Linvala, Keeper of Silence, on the field. Like, if we didn't want to activate abilities of creatures, we literally could not activate them at all. So I was like, well, you were locking the table down, and I had to try and find an answer for it. I found an answer for it, which actually ended up killing you. That's my bad. But, like, I was trying to dig for an answer, and yeah. So I kind of diffused the situation by apologizing to him first, and then kind of explaining where I was coming from. And he took it and was accepting of it and understood, and it was a really good interaction. It was probably one of the best interactions that I've had coming from not so much an aggressive place, but a very salty place.
That's actually a really great example of what I was talking about precisely, because we've actually, me and James have had the opposite interaction, where it was actually somebody that used to be on our server that has since been removed for said saltiness. James knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name them by name.
Yeah.
But we were playing a game with them, and I forgot what he was playing, like giant Eldrazi's and crap. I can't remember. It was just some kind of just ramp and play big stuff deck. And he had a Kozilek out. I think he may have had an Ulamog out. And I can't remember how I did it. Oh, no. I destroyed something of his. This game was like 2 years ago, so forgive me if the details are hazy. I destroyed something of his that was giving me a real, like, problem. And he was like, why are you targeting me? Like, I'm not doing anything. Mind you, he did have this Kozilek on the field. Like, I don't know why you're targeting me. It's really not cool. It's not fun. You know, honestly, like, I'm out of the game. Like, I'm just gonna concede. And it's like, you know what, man? I'm probably never playing with you again. At that point, you know, it's just like he refused to listen to reason. I was literally trying to explain to him, like, in as nice a way as I possibly could, like James just mentioned. Yeah, so like that. I know there's other stuff on the board, but that particular permanent was really giving me problems. Like, I can't really do much with it on the field. And he was like, yeah, whatever, man. It's like, okay, well, you know, that's an irreversible situation, unrecoverable.
Yeah, and I again, not to harp on all the negative players that I've played with, but I have played with a couple people who are like, as soon as you remove one thing, they're like, I'm out of the game. I can't do anything. I literally have no board state. Like, I'm so far out, I'm just gonna scoop and then win the game. 2 turns later. And it was like, were you really out of the game? Like, I don't understand it. And I have had this come up in our Discord a couple of times now, where I have a friend who plays CEDH, primarily plays CEDH, and he also plays casual with us. I've mentioned him on the podcast a couple of times. It's Sanusuke, or known as Martin, really big in the CEDH community. And we were talking about like the mentality of like mid players and casual players, and that like when you're in the game and you're obviously super salty about something, like, oh, you removed my heuristic study, how dare you, I'm going to sulk. But then after the game, you're like, oh, hey, sorry, I removed your heuristic study. I was like, oh, no, it's no big deal. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it happens. It's like, well, that's a flip switch. Like, why were you so mad during the game, but not mad about it after the game? Why not just be not mad about it at all and see that heuristic study is a card that you should be getting rid of whenever it hits the board, even if you have to pay the extra one. You should always be getting rid of the heuristic study and all those pieces. And I think that's the mentality of like, the difference between like CEDH players and casual players is like CEDH players, they know what threats are and what to get rid of. Whereas mid players and casual players are kind of just like, oh, well, it's just a value piece, but it's intruder alarm, and you sneeze at it, look at it, kind of breathe on it, and it goes infinite with anything. So, and then they get mad about it because you removed their intruder alarm, or you didn't remove their intruder alarm, and then they go off and they're like, oh, they've never had this happen before because everyone gets rid of the intruder alarm.
My favorite is when you have a counter spell and you counter somebody's spell and they're like, oh, well, why didn't you counter that spell? Or, okay, well, now everybody else gets to do whatever they want and I'm just screwed. I love that. That's a saucy meatball.
This isn't an episode of us like hating on all the salty players we've played with. It's just that it's that mentality of like people saying, oh, okay, like if you're not really upset about it, don't act like you're upset about it. I mean, I have been on both sides of this point. I will hands up, raise the roof that I have gotten visibly, emotionally, and physically salty over the removal of one of my spells or removal of one of my permanents.
I've witnessed it.
Yes. But then I've also been on the other side where it's just like, you get rid of my heuristic study, doesn't matter. I drew a card. Who cares? I'll move on with my day. I'd rather shuffle up and play another game and keep the happiness of the pod up. I think the greatest analogy, and I'm not sure if I've shared it here on the podcast before, but the greatest analogy I ever got from a commander was from one of my best friends back in Australia. His name's Barry. Sickest dude. I've known him since year 5. Chill banging through all of our like high school together and everything. And when we first started playing Commander, we sat down, and I'm not sure where he got it from, but it was these words of wisdom that always stuck in my brain, and I'll never forget them. He was like, everybody starts with 25% happiness. The idea of a Commander game is to get 100% of the table's happiness, because that just means, I guess, you win. But that mentality kind of stuck with me of just like, well, it was that kind of like, oh, well, winning mentality of like, well, if I suck everybody's happiness off, then I win kind of thing. But it's like, all right, cool. How can we flip the script on this? And everyone starts with 100% happiness and we all walk away with the same amount of happiness kind of thing. So like, how do we keep this fun for everybody?
I'm having like trouble like deciphering that analogy. It makes sense, but the math behind it is kind of confusing me a little bit.
Yeah, don't think about the math. Like there is no math. Like I'm not a math teacher. I know you are. I am nowhere near that. I'm just like, yeah, cool. Well, like 24 times 4 is 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, 25 times 4 is 100.
No.
That can't be right. This is now, that's definitely not right. Can't be right. No, it is right. Hold on a second. I have to Google this.
It's 25 times 4 is 100.
Yeah. I knew that. Yeah. You're making me second guess myself.
I was pogging.
Pog champ.
That's what kids say, right?
Pog champ.
So just as like I guess kind of a closing note on this, in a world, especially now that we're like completely digital, where we basically only have our words to work with, I think we should strive as content creators, as players, just to treat the people that play the game better, because the better we treat people, the more people want to join in, the more people we get to play with, and it's just a better situation for everybody. Don't be that guy or, that person that goes on a YouTube video and chastises somebody for making a very small misplay that wound up not even mattering. Like if you would phrase something like, you missed your trigger, instead consider asking like, hey, doesn't permanent X trigger on each combat? Doesn't that just like sound better to anybody listening to this out there, all like 5 of you?
Whoa,
if some
that's more than 5 people.
If somebody were instead like pointing at your permanent and said, you missed that trigger, as opposed to, Does this trigger on each combat or just yours? Which one of those sounds better to you? Which game would you rather play in?
The latter.
For me, it's the latter.
Yeah, 100%
But-
the latter. I guess that's the difference between like telling someone and asking someone the questions. Just be like, it's a hintful reminder to be like, oh, hey, doesn't this do that? I thought this does this. And you're like, oh, I actually get to read the card now and go, oh, right. Reading the card explains the card. Excellent. I now know how that card works properly. I have been at fault of this way too many times that I have so many different cards going through my brain whenever I'm talking about Magic that I will misremember the wording on one specific card and someone will be like, that's not how that works. Like, obviously that's not how that works. It clearly says this. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Like, okay, that card came out when? And I've been thinking about it for how long now? Like, okay, cool. That's why when I start to read a card and I'm like, I'm getting the words jumbled up, I'll Google it real quick so I get the exact wording of it so that situation doesn't happen anymore. But I mean, yeah, just like, hey, doesn't this do this? Or just like fake that kind of like question. Like, you know how it works, but be like, hey, doesn't Risk 680 trigger on every spell? Or doesn't fish only work on non-creature spells? It's be like, well, you know the answer, but you get to get that. You get to let that person find the information on themselves, and then they get to remember that interaction as a positive and not really a negative.
The only time it's acceptable to be blunt is when you're asking somebody the following question. Do you pay the one?
No. Oh, wait, yes. Sorry, yes. Always pay the one. Never feed the fish. Or I guess no, another time you're allowed to be blunt with someone is if you have to sit there and look at the blue player with two blue mana open and ask, does this resolve? That's when you get to say yes or no. Or a little bit of both. It might resolve depending on what it is. If it's something totally broken, I'm gonna counter it. If it's not totally broken, I'll let it through. But that's my closing thoughts on all of this, Paul. I know you just gave your closing thoughts. I kind of jumped in on your closing thoughts, but now with all that out of the way, we get into the actual end step now, where we get to start doing our cleanup and we get to start discarding all of the extra cards in our hands and doing our end step triggers, like bringing stuff back to the battlefield and then drawing more cards. So we'll go to our end step now. If you want to continue this conversation, you want to talk to us, get at us, be anything around us, you can do that on Twitter and Instagram at CMDR@arms. I'm happy to talk with you guys on there. We've had a couple people actually reach out, and it's been the coolest thing ever. Like, to get to talk to them personally, one-on-one, about episodes that we've done, discussions that we've talked about, kind of keeping the conversation going. So yeah, go on follow us on those social media platforms. Also, if you want to watch this video, all of our deck techs, and every other video that's going to come out of our stream, don't forget to do that on youtube.com/commanderatarms. Also, like, subscribe, follow, and comment, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload from us at all, ever. While I'm here, I'm going to also promote the Twitch page. So go and check out our Twitch channel. It is twitch.tv/commanderatarms, streaming every Wednesday night at 8:30 EST. Come and check it out. Come and watch us sling spells with all of your favorite Magic content creators, and also us and our friends. If you want to get cards, singles, sealed product delivered straight to your door, supporting local game stores in the best condition, fastest shipping possible, and help us in the long run, you can do that through our TCG affiliate link, tcgplayer.com/commanderatarms. If you want to rock a Commander at Arms logo across your chest on a super soft Bella canvas shirt, you can do that in the show notes or the link below. It'll take you to the Bad Fred Design Co. Etsy page, who hosts all of our merch, and watch that space for more of our merch and their amazing wooden deck boxes. I've got 6 of them sitting on my desk, and I love every single one of them. If you want to support this show directly, you can do it through patreon.com/commanderatarms. We have 3 patron tiers. Everyone gets access to the Discord server, and one of those tiers is going to allow you to be able to play Magic with us on stream. So again, watch out for that. And Paul, with all of that said, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners before we leave for the week?
Of course. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. Even if you spent only 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 minutes, the whole episode, however much time you took to sit down and listen to us, we really appreciate it. You could have done anything else with that time, anything at all. You could have washed the dish instead of listening to us. And it really means a lot to us that you took that time to do so. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you happen to enjoy what you just heard, feel free to spread our name around at the local game store. Maybe you have a friend that works at like Publix or something that plays Magic, and maybe they can spread our name around as well. Say, hey, I was just listening to Paul and James. They were talking about, how leaks are pretty cruddy and how we can form or articulate our vocabulary better for gaming. That would really mean a lot to us. Me and James often say that the best part about being content creators is being able to engage with a larger portion of the community, and more people knowing about us makes that a lot easier. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for listening.
And with all that said and done, I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you've been listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. And remember, arm yourself with knowledge. Peace.
See ya.